Welcome back to another video. You will have noticed I skipped over my setup completely, and that is because I wanted to just get straight into the stencil and show you what's going on today. So today we are going to be doing a double cover up. So we will be covering the football logo at the bottom of the ankle, and then we will only be covering part of the one on his calf, which we will come back to in another session and cover that as well. This was such a fun tattoo to do. As you know, I do mainly horror stuff, so doing Annabelle, this is the first time I've tattooed Annabelle, and the first time I've done a trick-or-treat tattoo as well. So I'm so keen to do this piece. If you have seen any of my other videos in the past, you will know that I don't usually mark out where my stencil is going, but for this one I wanted the old tattoo to sit in a specific spot, so that is why I've marked it out. I also tried to get a satisfying stencil peel, and that did not happen. The stencil gel is just way too sticky, which is good for when you're tattooing, but not so much to get that stencil peel. So here you can see it's landed exactly where I wanted it to, in between the pumpkin and Sam's leg. And there's Annabelle looking all crazy with the crack in her eye, and now we'll get straight into tattooing. Starting off with my 9-round shader to block in all the little rocks and details at the bottom. I also just wanted to answer a few questions that I get on my other videos as well. One being, why does the lighting look different during the process and then completely different at the end of the video when I'm revealing the tattoo? And to answer that, during the tattoo process I'm just using my ring light, but we also have a lot of natural light coming in from the windows. And then when I actually do my reveal, I'm using a controlled polarizer light, and I have every other light turned off so that I can reduce any glare coming on the tattoo, so you can see it how it actually looks without any glare. So some people will say that it's cheating using a polarizer, but honestly I think it just makes it shows it how it actually looks. Like, glare is not part of the tattoo. You can argue with me on that if you want, but that's just how I like it. Another question is what voltage and stroke I run on my machine. So obviously I use the Emalla Grand, which has an adjustable stroke, which I just leave at 4.2. I don't change it ever. And then for my voltage, I run that between 6.5 to 7. That pretty much stays around that range for lining, round shaders, and mags. And the last one that I get a fair bit is, do I use my opaque method for every tattoo? And the answer is yes. I only use opaques. I just find I can get smoother shades doing it this way, and I don't have to worry about whether the tones are actually gonna stay dark or stay true to how they actually look like you do with wash. Opaques is just a lot more consistent, and it heals a lot more true to the actual tone that you're using. So enough of those questions, we'll get back into the tattoo, which I just skipped over the actual cover up part. But as you can see, I sort of hid the old tattoo in the darker spots of his leg and through the pumpkin where I'm going to add details. And then you have the heavy shine on the top of his knee, which once we add the highlights and everything through that, is going to take away from the old tattoo. So now that I've got the heavier details and textures done, I want to keep this part of Annabelle's top or dress a lot softer. So I'm running my machine on 7 volts, and I'm just using my opaques as if I was doing a wash method, and just pendulum sort of back and forth motions just to sort of brush them in, and then I can layer them from there. So because we've got the cover up at the bottom in the heavier parts of black, I want to do Sam's face or mask as detailed as possible, so I'm using a 7-round liner for this area. So I want to add a lot of texture through this part, so that because Annabelle is going to be the main focus of this panel, Sam's face I want to try and make the secondary main focus. So by adding a lot of texture and then leaving open space where I'm going to put a lot of white in, your eye will naturally go to Annabelle's face first and then to Sam's next. So then naturally, as cover-ups do, they will sort of poke through a little bit, which we can always give it another touch-up. But naturally, your eye is not going to know that there is a cover-up there, unless obviously you actually know there's a cover-up. These areas are going to draw attention away from the cover-up itself. So now that we've got a lot of the details in Sam's face, we're moving back to Annabelle's dress, which I want to keep fairly open. I want to keep a lot of negative space in this area, apart from where it sits behind Sam's head. I'm going to do that a little bit darker so that Sam stands out a bit more. But for this part of her dress, I want to keep a bit light because we've got a lot of black and heavier tones from Annabelle's hair and everything, the background. So this should help make her dress stand out even more. Now we've come to the funnest part, but also the most daunting part, because Annabelle is such a recognizable character, but she's also a doll. So trying to create that look of plastic or like a China doll, whatever she's actually made out of, trying to create that look is going to be the trickiest part. But she's also got a lot of cracks and everything in her face, so that also adds another level of difficulty to the tattoo. One thing I see a lot of other artists do when it comes to like these little cracks and textures in the face is they will just use black and just sort of cut it all in and then just leave it that way. I like to leave them a little bit lighter, so I'll usually use like a mid-tone to block them in first, just sort of scratch them in, and then if we need to darken them up we can come back over, rather than just doing them black from the get-go, and then they just stand out too much. They don't really look like cracks, they end up looking like random black lines. So as you'll see, I add a lot of textures and that in certain areas, but then I'll go through with my mag and block in the shapes. That way I can come back and darken things if I need to, or soften things out, or even make them a bit harsher if I need to. That way I'm not overdoing every little section first. Again, because she is such a recognizable character, I want to try and be able to match the portrait exactly to my reference picture. The worst thing for me is to go through the piece and do the shades exactly how they are in the reference to begin with, and then by the end of it I end up over darkening certain areas. This way I just like to be able to build it up if I wanted to. Now this part of the cover up, I could just go over it with solid black if I wanted to, but I actually wanted to try and match the tone of the old tattoo to be able to blend in with her face and the shadows on her face. You don't have to go super dark or even black over old cover-ups. You can actually use them in a way to create depth in the new piece. So you'll see with this hair, I could also just go solid black, but I want to be able to keep some of the hair texture, so I'll actually build up my tones, and then by the time I get all those tones in there, you won't even really see the old tattoo. Now for the part that brings everything together, the white highlights, 9 round shader as always. One thing I don't always talk about though is the voltage. 4 highlights, Star Bright White, 9 round shader, and then 6.5 on my voltage. And as you can see, the cover up sits exactly where I wanted it to, just under, or sort of in between the light source on the top of his knee there. And you can see even just from this view how much Sam's face actually stands out even without the white highlights in there. Just having everything else around him slightly darker will make him stand out even more, especially having those skin breaks there. Then with the white as well, it's going to stand out even more. You always want to have your highlights bouncing off something. There's no point having open or negative skin and then running highlights with nothing behind it that's going to help push out those highlights. And then having a lot of texture in the cloth itself over his face, using my 9 round shader with the sort of stippling technique is going to sort of match the same details in the cloth. For Annabelle's face, I'm going to be doing more of a stippling sort of motion rather than my scribble technique, just so I can make it create little like glistens almost on her face, just to give it that illusion that it's like that sort of shiny glassy look. For all the little cracks, and especially the one in the eye, as you would have seen, I would have left a little bit of a negative gap in between the crack and the iris, so that adds a little edge around the crack and it sort of makes the black spot look deeper into the socket. For the hair, because it is a bit softer, I don't want to have like harsh white stripes running down it, so I'm just sort of brushing in the white more than I'm actually packing. Now that we've finished all the main areas of white, I'm just going back through and just adding any more little details that I feel like could stand out a little bit more. And then, as you know, we'll clean it, let it settle for like 10 minutes. I had so much fun with this tattoo. I'm really stoked with how it looks. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Peace.